Hi, good morning everybody. I'm here today to share with you my publication journey of my children's picture book, MOMSTER. But first, let me introduce myself. That is Jeff and I. We are married and we have 4 kids. We have Dean, Grant, Brooke, and Jack. Jack's my youngest, and as you can see, he's picking his nose. We have 3 dogs. There is Dutch, there is Lola, and there is Leo. We also have 2 cats, Luna and Loki, a hedgehog, Lena, and 2 noisy birds, Lou and Piper. Oh, and a crested gecko. Well, as you can see, my house is very busy. There's a lot of kids, a lot of pets, but it is a lot of fun. However, there was something in my house that was happening that I wanted to somehow teach my kids how it could be avoided. My friend gave me a pillow. It says, "Momster, what happens to mom after she counts to 3?" I don't know if you kids do this, but sometimes my kids, they don't listen very well unless I'm raising my voice and I'm looking angry. And that's how I came up with the idea of MOMSTER. Let me talk to you a little bit about ideas and book ideas. This is one of my, I'll call it book idea books. And in here I have several ideas that I have had through the years of a fun book idea. Sometimes they get written into a story. I've written a dozen or so stories from start to finish, and I've published 2 of them. But this is where it starts. You get an idea, write it down. Write it down. I forget a lot. So as those ideas are developing in my mind, I need to write it down before I forget. You guys can start your own book idea book. And anytime you have an idea, that light bulb that goes on in your mind, write it down. Develop the story. So I started writing MOMSTER, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to guess how long you think it might take for somebody to write a story. Now, my story, MOMSTER, is less than 500 words, and it's only 32 pages. That's pretty typical for a children's book. So, I mean, you guys are in 5th grade, so you're reading books like Harry Potter, Dork Diaries, maybe Diary of the Wimpy Kids, Sisters. Those are some really fun books. They have a lot more pages and a lot more words than my book. But why don't I'll give you a couple seconds to think and guess. How long do you think it took me to write MOMSTER? Less than 500 words and 32 pages. I'll give you the answer. It took me 18 months. So 18 months from start to finish is how long it took me to write MOMSTER. Now, the unique thing about MOMSTER is it is a rhyming book. Rhyming is difficult, and because you can rhyme words, but you need it to tell a story. And I feel like in order for a book to really flow, it should rhyme well. And what I mean by that is it should have a beat. And when you're rhyming the words, just like in poetry, there's some poems that the syllables and beats don't matter as much. But in some poems, they do. And I feel like when I'm reading a story, I want it to flow, and I want it to have a beat. And so when I wrote MOMSTER, the hardest part was getting it to have that beat and that rhythm that I liked. So I use something called a metronome. I don't know if you know what that is, but it is something you might see someone who plays the piano use, or instruments, or a band. And it is a little machine that has a rhythm, and you can speed it up. It has a beat that you can follow, or you can make it fast. So I've got it memorized. I'm list the first couple of sentences of my book. "Listen to me, children, I have crucial news to tell. Every kid should know this, it'll surely serve you well. I know the truth about our moms, and you should all beware. Our mothers aren't what you think, please listen if you dare." Now that was the hardest part of my book, was getting it to rhyme, and to rhyme in the way I liked it. So guess what the part besides rhyming the words, guess what I did over and over and over and over? Editing. Do your teachers have you look over your work over and over and over again? And sometimes you get kind of tired of it, and they want you to make sure you've corrected all your mistakes and your grammar errors, and maybe make sure your first letter is capitalized in the sentence. Well, it's important. Editing is really important because once the final piece is done and it's printed in all of these books, if there's a mistake in there, it is there forever. So editing was a big part of this as well. So I've written my story. It's taken me 18 months to get it perfected with the rhythm. I have edited it for months, and I had a few other people edit it as well. And then it was time to get an illustrator because I cannot draw at all. So I had the words, I had a manuscript. A manuscript is all the words written out, but I didn't have any pictures. And that is when I found Peter. And I'll show you a few pictures from Peter. Meet Peter Marr. He is the illustrator of MOMSTER and my newest book, Dear Mr. Wasn't Me. He lives a long ways away in Budapest, Hungary, which did create some challenges for us as we worked together. But I knew Peter was the one for my book MOMSTER when he sent me his very quick sketch of his idea of a mother turning into a momster. I had a couple other illustrators send me some pictures, but I knew I wanted Peter. So what was that like working with someone in a different country? Not only was he in a different country, we spoke a different language. We also have time zone differences that were 7 hours apart. So the most amazing part of it was how easy it actually was. We worked on a freelancing website where he would submit his work. Usually when he was going to bed, I was waking up with that time zone difference. So I would wake up, come downstairs, open my computer, and see what Peter had created that day. He would took my manuscript, and I gave him a lot of freedom to use his ideas and be creative and come up with pictures. There was a few things that, I wanted certain details in there, but he was able to create the pictures, and then I would proof them and say, I like this, or maybe change this a little bit. And that is how we did that. And that took a couple months to create the 32 pages. Once I was done with all of the illustrations, it was now time to put the book into print. Both of my books was printed at a local print shop called Christian Printers. It was really exciting to get the call that the books were done and ready to be picked up. The first time I went down, I took my oldest son, Grant, to help me load the boxes into my car. I remember smelling my first new book, and it smelled delicious. I had to come up with a business slogan, which was Wacky Stack Books, which ended up creating some pretty fun pictures. How tall can you make your stack of books at home? We did have a winner over 6 feet tall. The next part was I had my book, I needed to get it into bookstores. So they got into local bookstores. Real fun part of that was I got to meet some local Iowa authors. I did some book signings at Barnes & Nobles, donated several books to schools and local libraries, and of course I would have a book signing where you could come and I would sign the book to you or anyone else you would like. The best part, though, of writing MOMSTER was coming into the classrooms. I have been to over 30 classrooms in local Iowa schools and have read MOMSTER and talked about my publication journey. It does give me the warm and fuzzy feelings when I get wonderful thank you notes from the students who really enjoyed the book. MOMSTER has won a few awards. It won an ebook award, a 5 stars Reader's Favorite Award, and Author's Favorite 5 stars. Are you guys ready to read MOMSTER? I'm ready. Here we go. First thing I want to show you is the cover. This is the book that I read to different classes, so it's got that sticker there. But there's the title. There's MOMSTER. And then we have Mom. She is definitely a character in here. We have this young boy, the baby, and down here this turtle. Now, I didn't ask Peter to put the turtle into the book, but when I am done reading this book, most of the time the turtle is the kid's favorite character. He will help explain emotion. What do turtles do when they're scared? In this case, he kind of looks scared because he's all tucked up into his shell. I wonder why he's scared. There's the mom. She looks like she is innocently enough cooking dinner. And then we have the baby who looks a little bit anxious, and the boy saying, shh, don't bother mom. I wonder why he's thinking that. The cover of the book is really important. That's the piece that's going to make a child look at it, open up the pages, and that's exactly what you want. This book is dedicated to my 4 children, Dean, Grant, Brooke, and Jack. who have transformed me into a momster and back again many, many times. I love you guys. Listen to me, children. I have crucial news to tell. Every kid should know this. It will surely serve you well. I know the truth about our moms, and you should all beware. Our mothers aren't what you think. Please listen if you dare. I was minding my own business, simply watching the TV, when my mother nicely asked, "Honey, will you please come help me?" It didn't sound important, so I finished the cartoon. Mom called a few more times, and then she barked like a baboon. I figured I'd go help her when my silly show had ended, so I yelled out, "In a sec!" I hope she's not offended. Now, I don't know if you guys know what the word offended means, but I think she looks pretty offended to me. And by the way, my favorite character in this entire book is this baby. He is always doing some naughty stuff. And there's the turtle. And there's the baby. The turtle kind of looks a little bit nervous. The bark became a shout, then a frightening mighty roar. I heard stampeding, stomping feet, and pounding on the floor. Next I heard the snarling, the growling, and even grunting too. What is happening to my mom? She sounded like a zoo. I see a tail in the doorway. What's that silly baby doing? And you know what? He's looking kind of scared. So's the boy. The noise was getting louder, so I thought I'd better see. And that is when I saw it. A momster. And she was coming after me. That turtle's going to jump right into that garbage, isn't he? Look at that silly baby. He doesn't care at all. In fact, it looks like he has destroyed the clock. A momster. A momster. Her face is red as a lobster. Her spit was flying to the floor, her eyeballs popping out. Her hands were curled up with claws, and wow, could that thing shout. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Look at that baby. The boy is scared. Are you ready? If you're kind of scared of things, you might not want to look. I shivered, and I trembled. I did not know where to run. I better not race outside. She might melt in the sun. Quivering with fear, I didn't know what to say, so I sweetly asked my momster, did you have a good day? She continued to draw towards me, no smile or luck in sight. I have got to warn you, momsters are a fright. Look at that baby. I had to think fast. Be quick on my feet. Boy, she looked hungry. Was it me she wanted to eat? I knew just what to do, and I knew what I had to say. I started inching towards my momster, for there was a price to pay. I gently hugged my angry momster. Cautious, she looked crazy. I whispered in her pointy ear, "I'm sorry for being so lazy. I should have come when you asked. Instead, I chose to ignore. Plus, I know that we've discussed this 1,000,000 times before." My momster exhaled deeply, and I saw her face relax. Her jaw unclenched. She straightened up. Phew! My mom was back. Her loving eyes were calm. The claws were now retracted. I realized her transformation was caused by my rude actions. Look at that baby. Drawn on the wall. What do you guys think he's drawing? And he's finally helping Mom. My sound advice to you kids is to listen to your mothers. Be sure to tell all your friends, your sisters, and your brothers. Respect your mom, kiss her often, and please treat her with care. But never forget, beneath that soft skin, a momster lives in there. And I'm going to zoom in on these moms because I think each one of them has a little bit of momster showing. I think she has a pointy ear. Oh, does anything look different with that mom? Look at her arm and her claw. And look at that mom. She's got a tail. I hope you like that story. There's a few things I wanted to ask you. What do you think it was that made the mom turn into a momster? I think, just like in my house, he was not listening very well. He wanted to finish his cartoon. She was asking for help, so he was ignoring her. She had to ask him several times before he listened, and then she was angry. But probably more important than why Mom got mad, what did he do to make Mom go back to normal? I saw him give her a hug. I heard him tell her he was sorry. And then he started helping Mom, and that's all it took. So kids, if you want to avoid momster, listen. Listen. And I bet in your classroom even sometimes your teachers can ask you to do things several times. And then you get in trouble maybe. You just have to listen. Listen and you can avoid the momster. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it made you laugh and I hope you learned something. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the read, guys. Bye.